that twinkle. When a mod or the bot types, there's a chat notification that goes bring, and I can't make it stop. Um, I need to I need to invite people, but it's showing everybody offline. Invite guests. Thank you for letting me know, guys. Bye.
Are we live? We live?
We are
Hi.
live.
Hey, everybody. How y'all doing?
welcome to the Hold My Pen Promptcast. I am your co-host, Izzy Kraus, and why am I frozen over there? Kesha is a little on the loud side, and I am very soft. Okay,
Is that better? Is that better? Cash better. Okay.
Okay, and how's that?
Oh my God. That was way louder.
All right, tone down a smidge. We know I don't tone down, but are you smoking? Hey, there we go. Perfect. Yeah. Adjusting everybody's volume took me a long time and like nobody would say anything. I would check it against the rebroadcast. But hey, there we go. How many people does it take to run a podcast that started as one person?
Evidently, a whole crew.
A whole crew. Absolutely.
Does that mean we're pros?
Um
Julie
Yes.
looks concerned.
Well, as you all should be able to tell,
No,
Julie
Julie is
has
trying to figure out where her windows need to be
Gotcha.
there we
because
go.
it's
Uh,
finally set up and now everything is like ass backwards.
okay, I can tell what happened. First and foremost, Stick's gonna have to mute the mic on the Hold My Pen Promcast backstage. Okay, there we go. Number two, you might be better suited doing so you should see three little dots in each of our video boxes. When you click on those, you can copy the camera's slot link, and that's what you put into the browser box rather than trying to shape it down to just our faces. Because as people drop or come back, it's going to change what's showing on the screen. Because right now, okay. Okay.
That, and I was supposed to
all
be doing the
right.
rest of the damn shit done for the show, and it's a little hard to do that when I had him.
We're
there
live.
losing his shit in the back.
I know.
Hi.
Hi. Okay, here's the good news, Julie. On the actual broadcast, you're clearer than you. Okay, testing. Oh, that's what I was going to do. No echo. Perfectamundo. Oh, good. And eventually we'll get the setup back to where it actually connects to YouTube again. Yes, correct, Spitzer. It would not be a Promptcast if there was not some form of technical issue, and it's fine. It's fine. We have never claimed to be professionals at this. Yeah, I don't know why. Uh, Ace, if you want to try this at home, by all means, go for it. However, expect to lose hair or go grayer. One of the two, maybe both. So do I, but it's usually purple or blue or green. I've even done pink. It's really quite fun. I don't have to bleach my hair anymore. For those who noticed, Julie has a different setup going on. Thanks to everything that you guys have done, not only did we have enough for this next year's worth of newsletter send outs so that we can do more than 2 a month. Uh, y'all got her a webcam for her birthday in May. So figure get it for her early, and she can play around with it, learn all the different things that I've had to learning curve with mine, everything else. So yes, thanks to our lovely contributors, we as an audience and a team were able to purchase that for our fearless leader. She got very mad, by the way. Very, very mad that anybody was thinking about getting her anything for her birthday. All the while knowing this was in the mail. Bitch. So, it's fine. Yes. Completely forgiven. But I've reminded her several times. Next time I say I'm doing something, don't fucking argue with me. Don't fucking argue. You're muted, babe.
Would it really be if I wasn't arguing about it?
No, it wouldn't be you. So we're all good. Oh, and the cat tax. For the internet, the cat tax. So, technical issues aside, very special thanks to Styx, who once again jumped in and had the opportunity to do a little bit more shifting things around on the back end um, to get this going. So, since Styx is running it tonight, Julie and I originally talked about splitting this up into two shows. However, I gave Styx everybody's name. So everybody's in the wheel tonight. We're going to try and get this all done tonight so that we can have a day off. But we do kind of need more submissions from y'all. And yes, that includes me. So that way we can go back to 2 nights a week to keep up our numbers. Don't forget to sign up for our newsletter. Here in the next week or so, we should have the full brand new spanking website up. Please, if you have any testimonials of what the show has done for you, write it up, send it to us in the Discord, send it to the Hold My Pen Promptcast email. We'd like to put your testimonials up on the website to kind of give it a bit more presence and stability. If you have a website, an author website for yourself with your books listed on it, etc., please also send that so that we can link you in there. If you have an author photo, send it all over to the Hold My Pen Promptcast. To be listed on the website, you just have to have submitted at least one prompt. Same thing with
Yeah, it doesn't
getting
matter if it
in the
was this year or
newsletter.
last year or
Yep.
yeah.
So, if you want your events in the newsletter, you can send them to the Hold My Pen Promptcast email. You can put them in the events channel in the Discord. When you've got new books coming out, send the info where people
We
can buy
prefer you
them.
let us know a month in advance.
Yeah, so that way we can get it in there. And we're gonna redo the newsletter a bit. I know everybody's pretty kind of gotten used to the layout that I set up, the newsletter layout that I set up, the beacons that I set up, and it just has gotten way more involved than I can do on my own. So people are stepping up and popping in there, adding to things. Well, hello there, Stormy. Or is that Chloe?
No, that's Stormy. You got it right.
See, I was right. I was right. Trying to get into shelves. Method one likely worked better, but had to move things.
She was eventually gonna make a show. I mean, like,
Yeah, see, the only problem is
technically she's
that as
always
people
here, but
Yep, see, the only problem is that with using the window method that Stix is currently using so that the webcams don't, drop out, is that he's basically putting a window on each of our faces. So if we accidentally disconnect, drop out, it's going to shift how that window looks, but you guys can see us a little bit better. The way that he just did it is just using the camera source. So, or trial and error. And I just put it in the side chat uh, that you guys were with us as we were doing all the scuff early last year, our first year on Twitch. We are approaching here in April 1 year on Twitch. And so it's appropriate that we're back to Scuffland. It just really is. Learning the who's it's, the what's it's, the how's it's, and what's the best way to do it. And now with Sticks on board, there's even more technical knowledge than what we had, which was amateur at best. So we're getting back in business. There he is. An ad break starts in 5 minutes. That's a good reminder. Don't forget to subscribe. That helps you avoid the ads. If you have Prime, you have a free subscription that doesn't cost you anything extra. If you're not already giving it to another creator, please consider. If you do not have Prime, that's fine. Do not feel pressured. Right now, while we're not streaming directly onto uh, YouTube. At the end of this, I will export it over there and it'll go back to the video slot rather than the live slot. It's fine. Whatever. The videos are up. That's all that matters. There we go. So I see what he did. There we go. We'll figure out good connections and good placement and all the things. But now I have to really be careful to make sure that I stay in the center of my screen. Otherwise, yeah, I'm still on screen on my screen, but I'm half off the screen on your guys' screen. We just appreciate it. We appreciate all your guys' support and patience and all those fun things. So I think we've hit everything for actual stream based items. The what's happening, what's going on currently. Hey Shay, welcome to the chat. Uh, so also, our words, our voices, and the prompter's stories are not to be used to train AI in any capacity. Write your own damn stories. We have permission from the authors by the sheer basis of them submitting. No rebroadcasting without permission from the authors. And spin the wheel, Sticks! Do 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 do. All right. Up first, we've got Ace. And while it takes its dear sweet time to load because my browser did something weird and now it opens them all weird. Looks like it is called Drops of Holiday Cheer. Look, we just got done with winter. This had better not be a winter story. Section 1. Chris. The house is dark and quiet, except for the rain pattering on the roof of our log cabin style house. I sit awake in my bed on the second floor of our little house, not able to sleep. It is 5 weeks before Christmas, and I have no present yet for my sister or my parents. Even though I am a senior in high school, I still don't know what to get anyone. All I know is that I want the new video game, Super Mario Jupiter Rising. It is to be released 2 weeks before Christmas, enough time for anyone to get it for me. I run my hands through my short, jet black hair and scratch behind my ears. Each year, my parents ask me if I want a puppy, and each year I say no. My parents just don't understand that the Mushroom Kingdom needs a hero to save it from the villainous King Bowser. They don't understand the bullying that goes on when we don't find the next secret star before the next day at school. I head out the front door into the cool, humid night air. I walk to the edge of the covered porch and look out over the steps and front lawn at the slow falling rain. I close my eyes and hold out my hand to catch some of the falling drops of water. Can't sleep either? The voice of my little sister startles me. I turn and see her sitting in the large porch swing, wearing her favorite light green nightgown. I walk over and sit down next to her. I put my arm around her and she lays her head onto my shoulder. I breathe in the scent of her hair and it makes me smile. Not only is her hair the color of black cherries, she uses shampoo with the same scent. I have no idea what to get Mom and Dad for Christmas, I say as I continue to look out at the rain. Section 2. Sherry. As my head rests against his chest, I can hear his heartbeat. It's not fast, but it's not quite a resting beat either. To be honest, I haven't even thought about what to get them. I know that Mom would want something for the kitchen, but I have no idea what. She has everything. And Dad, oi, he spends all his time on the lake, fishing when he is not working. I don't know anything about fishing. I stop talking and continue to hold my brother. At school, he keeps his guard up for my sake, but at home, he is like a big teddy bear. In his embrace, the world is silent and I can relax and think. After a few minutes of silence, a thought comes to mind. Maybe I could draw them something. I sit, listening to the rain fall on the roof as my mind searches for something I might draw for them. I sigh. I love you, big brother, I say and give him a squeeze. I love you too, sis, he replies, and I feel his embrace tighten slightly. As I listen to the rain, I feel content with my brother next to me, but I start to get sleepy. A little yawn escapes my mouth, so I stand and stretch. Good night, I say to him before heading through the door and up the stairs to my room. I shut my bedroom door and collapse on the bed. Before I drift off to sleep, I let my mind wander. I let my mind wonder about what I would need to get everyone for as presents. A few things come to mind, and I jot them down in my notebook. Sleep comes quick. Sleep comes quickly after that. The next morning, I wake up and stumble into the kitchen. I am still half asleep and look around the cabinets for something to eat. I decide on cereal and pour a bowl for myself. I hear Chris coming down the stairs. Morning, I mumble through a bite as he enters the kitchen. He rubs the sleep from his eyes and sits down at the table across from me. Morning, Sherry. You want me to make you some cereal, Chris? I ask and push the dark pink cereal box towards him. His face brightens into a big smile when he sees the cereal box. Frankenberry, you saved me a box. Yes, I would love a bowl. I know this is his favorite cereal and that it is only sold around Halloween, so I saved him a box. I'd love to surprise him. I pour him a bowlful, and we eat quickly, for we only have a few minutes before we need to leave for school. Are you ready to go? He asks when we finish. I just need to brush my teeth and hair. Same, he replies. I laugh. You don't have enough hair to brush, silly. 10 minutes later, we were in Chris's car and on our way. Chris. Sherry and I walk through the stone archway onto the grounds of Ridgecrest Haven Bartholomew Jordan Academy. I carry all my homework and books in a large backpack, while Sherry carries her books in her arms. She does not like to wear a backpack. I see other students eyeing her, desiring to knock the stack out of her hands. All it takes now is a cold stare from me, and they back down. There is a gush of wind, and a thud behind us greets our ears. All praise to Zira, he shouts and pushes his way between us. His dark brown wings fold behind him and disappear into his back as we part to give him space. Paxonimus is the son of Zira, the immortal guardian of the air. Pax thinks himself superior to everyone else, hence the lack of any response to his shout. Watch this, he says as he waves the fingers of his right hand in front of us. A portly freshman boy slips on what appears to be an ice-covered patch of sidewalk and falls hard, dropping everything he was carrying. Nathan emits grunts like that a pig would make as he scrambles to pick up his fallen items. Meanie, comments Sherry as she rushes over to help their fallen friend. There's a story everyone believes about him, I mutter. The truth? It's messier than you'd imagine. Pax laughs before walking over to me. Now, Chris, he continues. You are going to get the new Mario game, right? I don't know, Pax. I've let my family know that's what I want for Christmas, but they don't usually get me that kind of stuff, and I don't have the money to buy it myself. Look, I'd buy you a copy, replies Pax, but I'm going to be spending my money on the accessories, and if you don't help me figure out its secrets, you're going to owe me big time, much more than the cost of the game. So think about that. He shoves me into the wall and enters the school building. I hurry over to Sherry, who has just finished picking up Nathan's things. I help Sherry with her books, and we enter the school building. Sherry. As I hand the stack of books and things back to Nathan, I watch Pax enter the building. I am irritated to no end at his rudeness. I smile at Nathan, who takes his things with a squeaky, thank you, before hurrying inside. Somebody's got to do something about him, I mumble to Chris as we walk into the hall. Hey, Sherry, over here. I turn to see Zora waving her hand excitedly over her head as she stands with Sankura and Joanna next to our lockers. I turn to my brother. See you in art class, Chris. He waves as I rush over to my friends. Joanna puts her arm around me. I saw what you did for Nathan back there. You are too kind. Yeah, that Pax is so rude, comments Zora. He seems to just get worse around happy holidays. Pig, barks Sankura. Zora pats him on the back. Good choice, Sung. A rude, self-centered pig. 3 periods pass by with nothing out of the ordinary, but something happens in history class. I've lost it, cries Sebastian. It's gone. The teacher stops speaking as Joanna goes over to Sebastian and puts her arm around him. What did you lose? My grandmother's brooch. Whenever I wear it, it feels like my grandmother is right here with me. I'm so sorry. When was the last time you had it? This morning. I always take it out and say a prayer before school starts. Thank you, Joanna. Please, take your seat, says the teacher. Sebastian, do not worry. I'm sure your grandmother's brooch will show up. You must be careful when bringing things like that to school. You know that, don't you? I feel sorry for him, but what could I do? I have no idea where the brooch is. After history, I met my brother in the cafeteria for lunch. Chris. Ah, pizza, my favorite. I take the empty seat next to Sherry at our normal spot in the cafeteria and take a bite of the rectangular pan pizza covered with small cubes of pepperoni. You'll never guess what happened in second period this morning, I say to Sherry. And you'll never guess what happened in fourth period. But you go first. Betsy hit Pax right in the jaw. Oy vey, why did she do that? She claims he stole her pen, I reply. Well, did he? Sherry asks. Don't know. He said he didn't. Until it's found, we will never know. What happened with you? Someone stole Sebastian's grandmother's brooch from his bag this morning. 2 things stolen in a school of over 500 students doesn't seem like a big deal, but these are people we know, and Sebastian is our cousin. Keep a watch on your stuff, Sherry, I say to her. I don't like it when anything is stolen from anyone. So what do we do? She asks. Ask around. Someone must have saw something. I don't know if it will work, but I need to give her some hope and something to do. After lunch, we have art class together. It is an experiment by the school to see who would want to take an optional class each year. The school calls them electives. Since so few signed up to take it, the school combines the grades to make a full class. It is also fun to not have a class period with Pax looking over my shoulder and making me copy all of my class notes. Okay, Chris, let's see what you've got. You've been working on this for the past week. I show her my canvas, which just has a mass of black lines. She squints. What do you call it? Messy hair day. She ponders the image for a few moments. Well, you do have thin lines. She walks off with a grin and I sigh with relief. I look over at my sister, who has her back to me, and I see an amazing image of large crystal snowflakes that she has drawn on her canvas. It sparks an idea, so I grab my painter's palette. I fill it with shades of green and a bit of white paint and begin. I turn my canvas away from Sherry. 30 minutes is not long, but it is enough to get started. I cover the canvas when the bell rings with a smile. Sherry. I look at my artwork and frown sadly. Stressed, I pick up my canvas when the bell rings and throw it away and walk out. I lean against the wall, waiting for Chris to come out. What did you do that for? Chris asks and takes the canvas out of the trash, dusting it off. This is beautiful. I've done much better, I mumble. I'm keeping this and putting it on my wall. I need a reminder of what snowflakes look like. Heaven knows the ones around here don't stick around long enough. He smiles and walks off with my canvas. I stand there for a minute or two before following. I'm walking behind Chris, rather slowly, looking at my feet as I think about the things Pax has been doing to my friends. I can't help but feel miffed at the thought of him bullying people. The fact that he's so mean just makes my stomach churn. I sigh sadly while these things cross my mind, too distracted to look up at my brother walking ahead. As the school day comes closer to an end, I still haven't found Sebastian's grandmother's brooch, and no matter how many people I ask, they all have the same answer. I have no idea who took it. Zora looks around constantly, giving everyone the stare, asking if anyone took the brooch, while Joanna keeps Zora from hurting people. Song just barks, talk, at everyone until they answer. This works most of the time, but they all still say they do not know anything. That evening, I warm up our plates of ribs left by our parents while Chris runs some warm water over 2 cloths. We are messy when we eat our ribs with our fingers. Did you find out anything about the missing items? Asks Chris. I shook my head. No one knows anything, or chooses not to admit it. Same. Minutes pass in silence until Chris changes the subject. Have you decided what to draw for Mom and Dad for Christmas? Nope. You saw what I did with my drawing from class. Trash. Don't down yourself, Sherry. I love it. It's so much better than mine. How about this? Picture Mom in your mind cooking. Do you think you can draw that? Then you could picture Dad out on the lake fishing. What do you think? I was still upset by what happened at school that day to think properly. I nevertheless nodded. We sat in silence for the remainder of the meal. Even when Chris got up to do the dishes, I still sat there. When Chris saw me wipe a tear from my cheek, he spoke. Come with me. We've got to get your mind off this. I follow him to the basement where he has his games and my easel. He loads my palette with paint, like I always do, and hands it to me. I am grateful, really, I am, but all I can do is stare at the easel and speak to it. Let me put the let me put it this way. If looks could kill, you'd be dead. Chris sits down and turns on his game console to play. I'm going to need my spare if I'm going to do this proper. Dun dun dun. Hmm. So we got high school. We got a little bit of a supernatural bent.
There's a lot going on there,
Mm-hmm.
and it leaves a lot of questions.
Yup. Now, I mean, Mushroom Kingdom, if it's not capitalized, um, can kind of get away with it because it they can't copyright it. Or trademark it for that matter. Bowser, on the other hand, and Super Mario Brothers, they can. So as long as you don't show the game in a horrible light or whatnot, tend to stay off their radar a little bit. But if you make them look bad, they're as bad as Disney with coming after people.
Yep. That is true.
I don't know. It was a little difficult for me to keep up with what was happening with a bit of the grammar wise because it flips back and forth between present tense and past tense a bit. Um but interesting, especially if you're going for a YA novel kind of age range. Good start. Yes, but even short stories. Eventually, short stories make their way out there into the world. I have several of them because I have Kindle Unlimited and Amazon Prime, and with that, I get a free ebook that is going to be published the following month. And lately, here I get the free ebook and short story, so you can actually get money off short stories. Yes, and that is true. Now, Styx hasn't been able to figure out how to get the chat onto the screen yet. That's fine. We will figure all this out. It is fine. But he made mention that for anyone watching in the future, oh, there it is. It popped up, but it's way wide. We'll figure it out. Keeping it in mind that when you're doing a slice of life style writing, whether that's shooting the shit or actually going to be published at one point, intellectual property can be a sticky slope. Nintendo and Disney are two of the most litigious, and if they think they can get you to stop, cease, desist, or you are in any way, shape, or form um, going to harm their product's reputation, they will come after you. It's why you will very rarely hear people reference Dr. Pepper, Coke, Pepsi as a soft drink in their stories. They eat Mountain Dew even. Because if there's anything negative in your work,
They'll come after you.
makes them look bad. I don't know if anybody noticed, but most movies anymore, they have an iPhone. If it's a cell phone, it's an iPhone. And that's because Apple has a deal with Hollywood and the movie studios. But otherwise, they blur out and make sure that there's no other brand names. Yeah, cola's pretty generic. Soft drink, soda, soda pop, pop, depending on which region of the world you're in. Can even go dark brown caramel soda. So that way you know or clear soda. The good old flip phones, I don't want to hear it. I still have 5 sitting in this house because I can't bring myself to throw them out because I think that there might be some information on them. All right, everybody ready for our next victim? I mean, submitter?
Why is my name not on there? I submitted.
Julie, did you get the...
I am not in control of the wheel.
Are not. Okay, that was my
Patrick's
bad.
name's not on there either, I don't think.
Because I somehow copied the 21st because I just went to the bottom of the list. I didn't pay attention to the date. So,
No Cash Butler.
I was wondering why Star Rose was on there and she didn't submit this week.
look, Julie, you have paperwork, okay? I did not. I was running by the seat of my pants. Paperwork. Yes, but it wasn't showing up over there. It just had it. All it had on there was the 21st. I thought it was already done. It's fine. We fixed it. Everything over there match everything over there?
No, SP Star Rose needs to be taken off and PA Power needs to be added.
What about me needing to be added?
It's Cash Butler. Julie DeFisher did not write for this week.
I'm on there now.
Okay. Hey. Please do not get upset in any way, shape, or form with the man behind the curtain. Because this was totally the Izzy's fault. For not making sure that I had the right week's information.
Human part alien error.
Yes, I am part alien.
Are we no longer...
Okay, we got everybody. There we go. Spinny, spin, spin!
I guess if it lands on me, I'll just tell
She
him using story.
Oh, oh,
all that.
There it is.
And remember what I said about don't pay, uh, don't pay attention to the man behind the curtain? And today's story from Kesh Butler is called The Wizard. There we go. Okay. Isn't it ironic? Don't you think? All right, here we go. Tell me your story. What experience did you have that you submitted to the Cryptid Institute? He asked as he took a seat across from her. There's a story everyone believes. The truth? It's more than you'd imagine. Her voice was low, almost a whisper. What story is that? The man leaned back in his chair as he finished typing what she had said. What story do you think? She asked him playfully as she took a sip of her drink. The salt on the rim of the margarita stuck to her lips. I'm thinking it's the Bray Road Beast, or whatever they call him, eh? He replied, watching as she licked the salt from her mouth. The Beast of Bray Road? Hardly. Guess again. She giggled, the alcohol obviously in her system and relaxing her. Maybe the Moth Monster. He threw out the name of another cryptid. Nope. Try again. Her laugh was deep, almost seductive. The drink was doing its job almost too well. If it's not Sasquatch, I'm out of guesses. He picked up his pen and scratched some notes down in the notepad next to his laptop. Her hand touched his, forcing him to stop what he was doing. No notes. I think you'll understand why once I tell you the story. Her voice had changed, her face revealing that she wasn't as drunk as he thought she was. She smiled again, her hand pressing down on the back of the screen of his computer until it had closed. I was told not to go into the forest alone, but my curiosity was already awakened. She began her story as he leaned forward, sipping from the glass of water sitting on the table in front of him. Why did they tell you not to go in? What is there to worry about? His question hung between them as she inhaled, her smile melting into a more serious countenance. She looked at him through veiled eyes as she played with her drink. You see, there is this wooded area off the main highway just out of the town I grew up in. It's thick. It's part of the national park in the area. She began to tell him the story he had come to collect. So I had never hiked those woods alone, but I just needed to get away for a short time. I was almost burnt out and needed some space from everyone in my life. So I went and did one of the few things that helps me to relax when I am in that type of mood. I went on a hike. She began to explain, her manicured nails gently tapping on the stem of the margarita glass. Okay, so you went into the woods alone. What happened next? The interviewer urged her to continue. Yes. Anyways, I started making my way along one of the main paths, enjoying the silence and the smell of the mists of the early spring morning. The smell of nature is so invigorating when it's fresh and new and untouched by humans. Her eyes closed, savoring the memory of that moment and the story she was telling. I continued along the trail, deciding to take one of the smaller offshoots that takes you to one of the massive oaks. You know, the ones that they think are all at least 1,500 years old. Her question seemed to suspend itself in the air above them for several seconds. He smiled, nodding that he did know the trees she was talking about. Okay, good. You have a frame of reference then. Taking a sip from her drink, she cleared her throat. Moving on. I walked for maybe 10, 15 minutes. Something in that time span, and I came up on one named Old Irons for the iron frame the civilian cons- I came up on the one named Old Irons for the iron frame the Civilian Conservation Corps built around it to help keep it from falling over from the mass of its limbs. I wouldn't be surprised if it's the oldest out of all the oaks in the area. She took another swallow of her drink. But I digress, she added. I was walking up on Old Irons when I heard a rustling sound in the brush to the side of the trail. A deep inhalation punctuated the sentence. What was making the noise? Were you able to see anything? He took a sip of his own drink, the ice rattling as he set it back on the table next to his computer. At first, I wasn't sure. She hesitated. So I froze in my tracks, watching the immediate area around me, hopeful might get to see something not seen often. If I had only known what, I don't know how to describe it. The feeling that came over me, it was almost like contentedness. Out of nowhere, all the tension and stress bothering me seemed to melt away, and I felt safe for one of the first times in my life. She paused again, a subtle, serene look settling across her face. That's when I finally saw it. It looked like the most unassuming tawny rabbit, only it had little antelope horns. And there it was, real as day, sitting before me in the middle of the path. It was eyeing me. I had assumed to figure out It was eyeing me. I had assumed to figure out if I was a threat or not. Then it slowly loped toward me, its long hind legs pushing it closer until it sat at my feet, sniffing me. The sound of her voice sounded like she had been in awe of the creature she had encountered. You're saying you were casually inspected by a jackalope? His eyebrow lifted, his skepticism apparent. I know. Unbelievable, right? She smiled genuinely. Okay. A jackalope. What did it do next? He handed the conversation back to her. It's not what it did. It's what the old wizard? Yeah, he was a wizard. He had to be. It's what the old wizard whose companion it was who made the next move. He stepped from behind a hollowed out tree trunk, his flowing robes moving around him almost as if he had been walking through water. The reporter thought it sounded like she was struggling with the description she was trying to give. I think I get what you mean. You seriously saw a wizard? He nearly scoffed, stifling the sound by drinking from the glass of whiskey. He swallowed, but the golden liquid tried to go down the wrong way, causing him to choke. Are you okay? She stood up in alarm with intent to help him. I'll be fine. He experienced a second coughing spasm before stopping and taking a calm, deep breath. Careful there, a man from one of the neighboring tables said. Are you going to be okay, sir? The waitress came to the table to check on him. Do you need medical assistance? I'll be fine. He waved her off as a final short burst of coughing erupted from his lungs. I have to make sure. Just wave someone down if you do need something. She smiled as she turned and continued to make her way back to the kitchens. Sorry, I didn't mean to distract you from your story. He cleared his throat before taking a slower, smaller sip of water. So, anyways, you were saying about the wizard? He urged her to continue with her story. Yes, the wizard. He appeared from behind a hollowed tree trunk next to the walkway that led to Old Irons and approached me. He was dressed in ragged brown robes and a drab green collar with a hood pulled over his head. What was off putting was the antlers coming from the sparse white hair on top of his head. She described the man, causing the interviewer to raise an eyebrow. So both the jackalope and he both had antlers coming from their heads? Fascinating, he replied. Yeah, I know. It was pretty unreal, if I'm honest, she admitted. I would imagine. He made a note to himself on the paper next to his arm. She watched as the pen scratched across the page. Just making a note to myself to remember the antlers. That feels very important. He placed the pen back down next to the notepad. Yes, the antlers. As I watched the wizard approach, I felt the jackalope rub against my leg, much like a cat does. She shifted in her chair while taking another sip of her margarita. I remember looking down at the little guy just long enough to miss the wizard turning away and walking toward the tree. When I looked up, he was already walking up and stepping over some of the roots. He reached up, touching the trunk of the tree, and started to hum. She sighed, closing her eyes. He then began to sing. He was singing to the tree, but not just that, he listened to the tree. She finished as she opened her eyes. How do you think he listened to the tree? Trees can't speak. He leaned forward onto his elbows, knitting his hands together and resting his chin in the cradle they made. That's what we're taught, yes. But you want to know something? They do. He told me that the tree was in pain from one of the iron bars helping to prop it up. Her answer was delivered in a matter of fact manner. She believed what she was telling him. He could tell that? Again, he was skeptical. He could, yes. He offered to teach me how. She shifted in her chair again, seeming to be starting to get uncomfortable. Oh, that was something he didn't expect. Yes, she nodded, smiling again. Did you take him up on the offer? He hesitantly took a sip from his glass. She was silent, but the look on her face spoke volumes. I'm guessing you said yes to the offer. He watched as the waitress walked by, stopping at the table next to them. She then turned and looked between the two of them. Can I get either of you anything else? Dessert? She smiled. I think I'm good. Thank you. The interviewer looked across the table, waiting to see if his companion would order another drink. No, thank you. She smiled back at the waitress. Let me know if you change your mind. She turned away to check on her other tables. Now, back to our conversation. You said yes to his offer. What happened after that? He directed her back to the topic they were having. He motioned me over to where he was standing. I walked over to the base of the tree, stopping once I was next to where he was. He took my hand and placed it on the tree, instructing me to hum the way he had when I had first seen him. I then tried to mimic the sound, but I had issues. But he was patient with me, and I finally got it, and it opened my mind. Her gaze was looking at something on the other side of the room. It was obvious to him that she had gone back to wherever her mind had been when she was learning to speak with trees. What did the tree say? He asked. It told me of all the things it had seen. Recently, I think. But maybe further back? It told me about the pain the iron bar in its side caused it and how it was worried about how careless many humans were. Her eyes met his, the pupils wide open. Carelessness? You mean how we treat the environment and the rest of nature? I believe so, yes. Her eyes relaxed, returning to the way they had been earlier in the evening. Did the tree have anything else to say? He watched her as she looked to both sides and leaned in. She looked as though she wanted to say something she didn't want anyone else to hear. It told me things about feeling the environment around it being destroyed and then rehabilitated, about when the CCC came in and patched it up, helping it to heal and thrive, about the couples who would picnic and kiss under its canopy, how children played in and around its roots and behind the surrounding trees. It told me a tree's memories of the land surrounding it. I wish I could describe the things I saw. Her eyes drifted again as her mind became absorbed in what was going on in her own mind. How do I know what you're telling me is true? He asked her, bringing her out of her reverie, out of the reverie she had been experiencing. I could take you and show you if you'd like. Then you could experience it for yourself. She looked into his eyes, something foreign, almost alien in her eyes. I'll have to think about that. What happened to the wizard and the jackalope? He asked her, pulling her back into the interview. The wizard walked back into the woods. I'm pretty sure the jackalope wasn't far behind him. I see. He chuckled and picked up his pen and took a few more notes. Did the tree tell you anything else after the wizard left? Yes. It said, Happy birthday, Izzy.
I had to get you somehow.
Oh, hold up. Sticks is over here in the comments going, gave me a great idea for a good story, blah, 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 blah. I'm, 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 I'm concerned.
I'm interested to see what he comes up with. But happy birthday.
Thank you. Very, very much. You know how I can tell, though, that this was a rush job? Because you've been stressed all week?
Mm-hmm.
The number of times that the word "the" was missing the T. Running through so fast, just trying to get the stream of consciousness down to paper, to get the idea, out.
Yeah,
I'm glad I can translate Cash.
I've been so tapped out emotionally and just mentally past few weeks.
Oh,
Plus
I've been.
editing.
I have been
Yeah,
otherwise mentally engaged since January 10th, so I feel that.
yes, I know.
M. Night Shyamalama Dinglong. but I can't even. Look, once I finally figured out how to say Shyamalan, I can't say it wrong.
That's
Okay, ad break.
fantastic.
Ad break ends in 2.5 minutes according to my screen. Okay. I could actually, because his coughing fit has now made me feel like I'm going to have a coughing fit. Somebody want to take the next one? And Sticks, give it a minute for the ad break to clear, and then Spinny. I'm gonna go get a.
Beautiful. So who reading? Oh, what do you got?
Hocus Pocus.
What's Hocus Pocus? Never heard of that one.
It's a nice little cocktail. It looks kind of like the life elixir that the witches brew.
Ah, okay. Just absent. So, who's going to read, or are we just going to wait until Izzy comes back? Probably me.
Well, who's the next story?
No, it's not me, obviously. Yeah. That's
Well, we gotta
me.
wait till the ad break's over.
Oh,
Waiting until the ad break is over, and then he's gonna spin the wheel. Come on. Open sesame.
I see that now. I heard that.
Told
Um,
to wait. I was told to wait. He sounded like such a petulant little brother. No, not you, Sticks. Oh, yeah. Spinny, spin. Oh, that's dangerous.
Oh, it's
Add a little bit
your
more.
your spider goddess.
Spider goddess. All right, that one I kind of got. I gotta be fully immersed in that one. I mean, we certainly can. I don't know how I feel about letting somebody else having that level of control over me, but I guess turnabout is fair play when I call him the emotional support Viking. Did I get muted already by Sticks once? Tonight? Did you already mute me once? Did I
You
miss?
missed that if you did.
No. Oh, okay. I'm tracking. Bitzer has now added it to the scorecard for hashtags anytime Sticks mutes Izzy. But full body convulsion? Really? That's you might want to have that checked.
Yeah, full body convulsions aren't good.
Just saying. Yes, it has been upgraded. I mean I can mute myself. But now somebody has the power to mute.
Yep, there he goes. Point in case.
Point in case, as demonstrated. Yes, sibling level squabbling escalates. As long as everybody knows that it is all in fun, at least on my end. I can't speak for the petulant Viking, but we'll go. Okay, so next up, Wilhelm and our lovely spider goddess cult. All right. The ghostly columns of the Farallons loomed ahead out of the undersea gloom. They appeared quite suddenly, great gray stacks surging up from the floor of the Pacific to piece the breakers and provide a home for countless gulls. Halfway down the stack of stone was an opening no human could hope to fit through. Wide and narrow, looking like a natural shelf of stone, it was the perfect shield for the ancient library. Though it does make it inconvenient to take notes, Sarah thought as she swam with her brother and Robert right through the opening to the door of the entrance chamber. Here, a slot like the one on the old mausoleum above opened to her talisman, revealing a room where the rough, living rock gave way to the carved stones and columns of the library proper. And crucially, the cubby holes near the archway were all empty, the browsing cards inside ready and waiting. At least we'll have the place to ourselves. Sarah took 3 of them, handing one to Jack while hanging on to Robert's card, for he looked lost and miserable still. She patted his shoulder, saying, "Buck up. At least one mystery of your life is solved." "Not even a little," Robert muttered, batting her hand away. Sarah sighed, her brother hissing, "Ignore him. He's in his own little world now." Instead, she took Robert's hand and pulled him through into the uppermost chamber of the library. An ethereal glow filled the water, the stone columns supporting the roof arches interspersed with glass columns, teeming with luminescent jellyfish for light. And between them were shelf after towering shelf, laden with stone tablets from across the ages. Each one stood about 4 human stories high, forming canyons of knowledge it would take 1,000 lifetimes to read in full. "What is this place?" Robert asked. "We told you, a library," Jack said derisively. Sarah added, "Just like how humans commune with their past and divine their futures with the pulp of dead trees, so do we do likewise with slices of stone sheared from the sea." "Well, what are we looking for here?" Robert muttered, churning his tail to bring them to a stop as he looked warily over the collection. "We need to look up Tula Tarn. The name is familiar, but I can't bring any details to mind," Sarah replied. "Nonsense. We have enough about the spider monster," Jack said shortly. "We need to look into these amulets you talked about being stuffed inside your boyfriend's body." "He's not my boyfriend, and that was a separate ritual. It has nothing to do with this." "How do you know it's a separate ritual and has nothing to do with this?" "Why do you always ignore and belittle my ideas, huh?" Sarah crossed her arms, gritting her teeth. "I didn't belittle it. I was trying to prioritize. We know he's one of us, and they were experimenting on him. That seems more relevant than a monster we already know about." But we don't know hardly anything about her," Sarah roared. "Have you two heard of being quiet in the library?" Robert muttered, wincing as he rubbed his forehead. "There's no one else here," Jack muttered. "Are you all right, Robert?" Sarah asked, frowning. "I need a smoke, and that's damned well impossible here now, ain't it?" "We'll find you one once we get back on dry land," Jack said, waving his hand. "Now, do you want to find out what those folks trying to keep you from changing are all about?" "I think Sarah's right. It's more important to look up the Children of Providence and Tula Tarn," Robert replied. "You're just saying that because you're afraid of what you'll find," Jack muttered. "And besides—" "Yeah, I heard you two arguing," Robert snapped, letting out a snarl. "Now, I say we stick with looking for something more relevant. And I don't know how to navigate this library, so I'll be relying on you two. God save me." "You're in good hands, Robert," Sarah said, "and have more than earned your fee for getting Jack back." "Don't remind me of that," Robert muttered. "Sounds like he's saying you can keep your money," Jack chuckled. "Enough!" Robert snapped, looking between the two of them like he was sick of them both. "Now, are we going to look up the spider monster, or ain't we?" "It's not so simple as that," Jack said. "First, we need to narrow down our search, and looking for, say, talismans, which prevent water shifting and—" "Fine. Go do what you want to do, Sarah grunted, swishing her tail as she turned her back. Follow me, Robert. I have an idea where to get started. She swam away then between the aisles of stone tablets, keeping an eye on the shelf labels. At the next intersection, bathed in the light of those jellyfish, she found it. Jackpot. What is it? Jack asked, slowing to stop at her side while Robert stopped on her other flank. The outline of North Coast myth cycles, Sarah replied, plucking the tablet from the shelf and looking over the carved symbols. What does it say? Robert asked, poking his head over her shoulder. I can't read. Give me a minute, Sarah muttered, tracing her finger over the sentences. She frowned, turning it over as she said, Well, nothing about a spider. We'll have to look elsewhere. How long do you reckon that'll take? Robert muttered. As long as it takes, Mr. Astor. Sarah brushed back the tangle of hair-like fins on her head, looking over the endless shelves. Now, where might the legends of a spider monster be lurking in here? After 3 long weeks tied up in a tomb, there was something irritating to Jack Carver about being cooped up again. Not least because his kid sister was still looking in all the wrong places. He followed behind her as she moved from one false lead to another, trying to ignore the obvious clue right at her side. There is no world where her hiring an amnesiac member of our kind hex to be in his human form is some kind of coincidence, Jack thought. This is all connected, and the sooner she sees that, the sooner we can start looking for real clues in here. Found it! Sarah exclaimed, holding up a tablet triumphantly. Finally, Robert muttered. You did? Jack exclaimed, turning his tail to reach her quickly. He took hold of the offered tablet, his eyes racing over the glyphs as his stomach tightened. There upon the stone was an image of Tulatarn, though she was never named in the text. Instead, it proclaimed, Jack reading aloud, the priestess of those webs holding back the invisible sun will bring providence to those willing to sacrifice a son of the sea, a son of the land, a son of the air, a son of the aether, and a son of the flames at the 5 points of the sacrificial sigil. The lines she will cut, the sun shall come forth, and the wicked wiles of world shall be undone. A ringing silence filled the hall, Jack lowering the tablet. Robert spoke then, uttering, and what the hell does all that mean? It means that I was meant as an offering to bring about the end of the world, Jack said softly. Okay, but how can fire have a sun? And what the hell is aether? The 5 elements of the cosmos, Sarah replied, frowning. But it seems impossible that something so small as 5 sacrifices will be enough to end everything. Oh, come on. Nothing in this library can be read so simply as that, Jack said, replacing the tablet. I taught you better than that. You didn't teach me anything at all. Stop! For God's sake, stop! Robert called, swimming between them and shoving out his arms to push them both apart. Now, call me crazy, but I think this means there will be a pentagram with sacrifices at the corners. Right? Let's draw one of those over the places where these guys might lock the offerings and finds the next victims. We already know where one of them will be, Sarah said softly. The lighthouse up in Casper, Jack said, his sister nodding. Great. Let's swim there quick as we can and see what's locked inside. It'll take a while going by sea, Sarah said. A better bet than land, Jack countered. Sarah puffed out her cheeks, glaring at her brother as she crossed her arms. Yet she said nothing in rebuke, instead casting her gaze over the library. The only question is, do we leave immediately or do more research? I say we get out of here, Robert said. Place gives me the creeps and I can't read anything anyway. I suppose we can always come back, Sarah said, fitfully flicking her tail fins. If you're in agreement, Jack, we should rescue whoever they have trapped in Casper. I do want to stay here and figure out those amulets, Jack thought, though he took his turn to hold his tongue. The thought of some poor bastard locked up as he had been was enough to make him want to move. Besides, we might find out more on the journey from the guy we rescue, or this guy's memories coming back. And so he nodded, swimming with Sarah and Robert out of the library and back into the sea, the trio facing north to where a lighthouse waited with whatever secrets the children of Providence had hidden inside. The current flowing south made it slow going north, but Sarah was content. She swam through the dark night ocean, gliding over the stony seafloor and admiring the scenery. Once again, she was free, reunited with her brother, and had a good idea how to stop the madness unfolding in her fair state. Halfway through the night, she plucked an abalone from a stone and ate the creature for sustenance, offering half to Robert. Get that out of my face, he muttered in disgust, knocking it aside. You need to eat something or you'll pass out. Then take us ashore for a good restaurant, or hell, I'd take gas station rations. Sarah sighed, exchanging a glance with her brother. Listen, Robert, you're one of us, and you're going to have to get used to that. Like hell. This is a curse, he muttered, shaking his head. And suppose it isn't? Jack asked. Well, then maybe I've gone and lost my mind, Robert pouted, closing his eyes as he slowed in his swimming. The moonlight streaming from above dimmed behind a cloud, a fish darting across the current in front of them, followed by a larger one. A waving piece of kelp wandered past on the tide. Robert coughed, muttering, Where the hell did you fish people even come from? There's a story everyone believes. The truth, though, is far messier than you'd imagine. Please spare me that. Give me the short version. Our ancestors interbred with aquatic creatures, and now here we are, Jack replied. And you're one of us, whether you like it or not. And I think you could learn to like it, Sarah said, seizing his hand. The ocean is vast and full of secrets, now open for you to explore. Robert muttered something, looking cross. The trio lapsed into silence thereafter, moving over miles of seafloor as they closed in on their goal. As always, Sarah began to tire as the night wore on, and she felt Robert flagging, even though he remained tight-lipped. No doubt he can't even remember his own strength anymore. At last, the thin glow of a way station appeared below them, Sarah beginning to sink down towards it and pulling Robert along with her. He tried to pull back, barking, Hey, where do you think you're going? It's been a long night, and there's a rest station down there. Oh, what? A little resting place our people built to dot the seafloor, Jack said helpfully, patting his shoulder. Just who and what are you two? Us three, Robert, Sarah said, bringing him down to the floor of the sea. Here, a luminous jellyfish lantern stood by the arched doorway. Sarah taking it down and leading them into the stony little shelter. There were niches on the walls with supplies, sealed bags with surface gear, and 4 hatches made of bronze into the sleeping chambers. Welcome to a home away from home, Robert. I don't feel too welcome. Just stop that, Jack muttered, swimming up to a niche and taking down a tin can. Want some tinned anchovies? At least they're already dead, Robert said quietly, accepting the tin. Sarah's eyes blurred as she yawned, her whole body wanting to curl up. When her vision cleared, she saw Robert, the man who had helped her through all of this. The one she had tricked and who had been tricked himself long before. And my brother is right. He has some greater role to play in all this. She swished her tail, sending her to one hatch. I'm turning in for the night. Get some sleep, you two, and neither one of you disturb me. Robert blinked while Jack chuckled, Sarah hiding her grin as she slipped inside and left the hatch, slightly ajar. Sarah had told Robert not to follow her in, but the door was still halfway open. With his supper of tinned anchovies and cheese downed, he felt the first wave of fatigue crash over himself as well. Still, he couldn't shake a sense of wrongness, his gaze flicking down to those scaly hands and long fishtail beneath him. With a clang behind him, Jack sealed himself away in one of the 4 chambers. His eyes flicked between that closed hatch and the one still hanging open. Wondering if he was signing his own death warrant or accepting a silent invitation, Robert paddled up to the hatch and slipped inside Sarah's chamber. "Is that you, Robert?" Sarah asked from the darkness ahead. "It is. And I still have some questions for you. Even though I told you to stay out, people tell me all kinds of things." A shape loomed in the shadows ahead, water coiling around him from movement in front of him. "Well, what do you want?" "I want the whole story. How did you get to California? Where are you and Jack really from?" "That'll take a while to explain." "I have nothing else to do tonight," Robert scoffed. "Are you sure?" Sarah's eyes glowed in the dark. Robert's lips parted to reply. Sarah was quicker, darting up to him and pressing hers to his. He gasped, sinking into the embrace of a sea monster inside her dark lair. Dun dun dun! Bow chicka wow wow! Boop, 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 boop. Wilhelm, you sly dog.
Okay, so 6. Robert is not related to Sarah. I think it's Jack who's related to Sarah. Is that right? Because Jack and Sarah are the siblings. Robert, who knows how they're related, other than now they're bumping uglies. So is that officially a mic mute, Izzy?
I said some choice triple X words, so yes.
Of course you did.
I absolutely loved, by the way, Death's Head. I loved that constant bickering between the two of them. I didn't. You might have said it in previous installments, but I didn't get the impression that Jack was older. But again, we've been hearing this story for a while now, and I'm totally here for it. It might have been said. But in this one, I definitely got the feeling that she was the younger sibling who hates being the younger sibling and tries to be right more than she's wrong. And Jack's like, "You're an idiot fish girl. It's fine. Whatever. I love you, but you." And I very much liked, too, how Robert's like, "Yo, you're not explaining anything. Quit your fucking bickering. Give me answers and give me answers now. Like, I'm sick of this shit. Like, tell me what the fuck is going on." Love it. Love it. Yes, the sibling sleeping. Okay, ads in 2.5 minutes. Oh. Oh, this is. I don't know. I don't know if you have plans for this to be a novel, a novella, a novelette, just a short story. But I so.
We need it on our
Obviously-
shelf.
Yes, and obviously it's rough draft. You know, we're all doing just rough drafts. But look at what each of you can do in a week. Each and every single one of you that is submitting, and in a week's time, you're putting together these thoughts, these ideas, and starting to build the canon of the story or whatever you're doing, whether it's a story, a novel, and something in between. You go back and you start tweaking the sentences later. Right now, it's just like, hey, get those ideas on paper or on screen and look what you guys can do. I'm freaking foaming at the mouth for a spider, and I spent most of my life arachnophobic. Oh, also, my other biggest fear is drowning. I love the song Under the Sea, but do not even think about taking me under the sea because I will fucking freak out. And yet I'm loving this story.
Because it's well written.
Yeah, Bitzer. Show off. I'm just waiting for more sticks, cause hasn't given us much to work with, but been loving those stories every time they drop. And Dahlia rejoined us last week. I saw her in the comments earlier. All of you hold a very special place in our hearts, and just we love the talents that you guys are developing. I can't wait for Anonymous 8 to actually pull off the blinders and go, "Hi, that was mine." And I'm like, "'Cause I need that one." Those leathery fucking vampire shit. Like, I need that in my hands. I need the author name, and I need to. And I can't wait for this Beauty and the Beast slash pan thing to. Y'all, I need to read more. I could read more and just give up on the writing and just read your shit out. Okay, I'm good with that. More. Yes, you do. All right, looks like ads are over.
Yes. I need to stop having emergencies that stress me out. So I can write.
I feel that. Okay, Styx is spinning the wheel. How is it another ad break? Oh, it is ad. I don't know. It disappeared and now it's back. Dahlia! Okay. Cash, are you able to get in there and read hers for us?
Yeah, I can. Give me a second.
Thank you. Because I think I also need to use my inhaler. Nothing crazy. Oh, the cold air and the barometer change and everything. Amazingly enough, I can go like weeks without using my inhaler. So yeah, it's fine. Don't anybody get worried.
Oh yeah. Okay, give me a second. Oh. I'm locked out because I don't have access. Because it's trying to go to my personal account and I don't have. Yeah. Oh, let's see if I can do this. Hold on. Oh, there it is.
There. Okay. Got it.
Okay, I got to do the no robot verification thing here. Sorry, folks. Please hold. I think that's what it says. The computer's doing some weird things. Oh, Julie's is. Hold on. Yes, please, Dahlia. Please send it to my personal account. You have the email? I don't know if she heard me. Let me type it back. Okay. What? And then AutoMod's doing stuff too. Okie dokie. Okay. Okay. Thank you, Dahlia. Yep, there it is. Okay. Thank you for your patience. Okay, so this is only 118 words long. So you wait for the world to catch you, discovering you like treasure in the wild, waiting patiently for those worthy of you. Many get close, but they fall into the trap. The judgment is quick and brutal. The characters they will become are seen in a flash of a second. Decided they are unworthy, you continued to wait. Proud of your growth to explore the true you. The energy around you shines bright, healing the world around you. Those that come join as their harmony grow. The feminine energy is true form, to live in many forms at once. Life becomes endless. With endless, one becomes wise with wisdom, beyond the capability of many and ready. You choose not to wait for anyone. But when you are shining your brightest is the time you enter. They told you not to go in, asking you to wait until they are ready. Yet the door will not stay open for long. The door was fully open when it appeared, and now it is only halfway. Finding something worthy of your treasure is all you could ask. And now you have found that something. That something is being your soul. And with that soul you enter into the room, and there awaits a new life in a realm worthy of you, and you alone. That, dun dun dun, that, Dahlia, I love it.
Oh.
I, oh, that was fun to read too. Um, kind of like the message in there. 'Cause it's almost like how you affect people. Like how kind of like an expression of how each person affects other people around them. That's how I'm reading it. I don't know if that's how she meant it, but I like that.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh. Look, we have the 2,500 limit, right? And some of us can say a lot in a lot of words, right? But then we've got those couple of people, Dahlia included, that say so much with so little, getting right to the heart of things and making us think about those ex- existential questions. Just
Hmm.
whoa, whoa. All right. Who's up next? Mr. PA Power. I will take this one just because he's sorry but not sorry because he's got some time to make words to make up, sorta, kinda. He hit us with over the limit by quite a bit, and I will make him pay for that later. But here we go. Especially with the title Love, Secrets, and Regrets. The library sat at the far edge of town next to a decrepit cemetery where the old streets thinned and the gas lamps gave way to darker stretches of road. It was not the sort of place most people visited after sunset. By then, its tall windows turned black as graves, and the stone gargoyles perched along the roofline looked less decorative and more like warnings. Tonight, only one window still held light. Damien stood beneath it, unmoving. Cold wind swept through the narrow street and stirred the dark waves of his hair, but he barely felt it. His eyes remained fixed on the glow behind the library glass. He could hear the faint scrape of movement within, books shifting, a chair dragging, something metallic striking wood. Every sound landed beneath his skin like a splinter. He should have left when Jonathan told him to. Instead, he stood there with his hands curled into fists at his sides, jaw tight enough to ache, as the scent drifting from the cracked open window turned his stomach. Blood. Fresh. Sharp enough that no amount of old paper, lamp oil, or dust could hide it. His throat worked as he swallowed hard. The wolf in him pressed close to the surface, restless and uneasy. It did not understand why he lingered outside danger rather than running from it. It only knew there was blood ahead and something wrong in the air. Damien exhaled shakily, but the breath did little to steady him. He had known Jonathan for 3 months. 3 months of late evenings and cautious smiles. 3 months of bringing him tea when the doctor forgot to eat. 3 months of quiet laughter shared across towering stacks of forgotten histories and crumbling folklore. 3 months of wanting something he had no business wanting. A man like Jonathan Vale did not belong to a creature like him. But that had not stopped him from falling. It had happened slowly at first. A glance too long, a touch too careful. The quiet certainty that Jonathan looked at him as though he were seeing more than the face Damien showed the rest of the world. That had been the cruelest part. Jonathan saw more than most, but just not enough. Damien? The voice reached him softly, carrying over the empty street. He turned his head. Lori approached from the direction of the town square, her cloak pulled close against the chill. Autumn came early, and it had a bite. She slowed the moment she saw his face. Her expression sharpened, concern knitting between her brows as she moved into the spill of light from the library steps. "What's wrong?" she asked. Damien opened his mouth, but it took him a moment to answer. His voice came out rougher than he intended. "He told me not to come in." Lori glanced toward the front doors. One stood open just enough to cast a long sliver of gold onto the worn stone steps. Her eyes narrowed. "Why?" Damien gave a weak, humorless huff. "Because I was already halfway through the door." There was no anger in the words, only hurt. Lori studied him more closely then. His eyes were bright, too bright, and his shoulders were tight with the kind of strain that came from holding himself together by force alone. "Damien," she said more carefully, "what happened?" He dragged a hand over his mouth and looked away. "I heard something break. I thought maybe one of the shelves had collapsed." His gaze fixed on the dark street instead of the building. "I came in through the front and called for him, but he didn't answer." Damien took his hands, running them over his face, then into his long jet black hair. The blood scent rose again, thin but unmistakable. Lori caught it a second later, her posture shifted. "That smell." Her nose curled up at the putrid smell. "I know." His answer came too fast. The door behind them opened wider with a long, complaining creak. Both turned. Dr. Jonathan Vale stepped out into the night with lamplight at his back and shadow on his face. His shirt sleeves were rolled to his elbows. Dark stains marked the white cuffs and spattered the front of his waistcoat. He held a cloth in one hand and was using it to wipe the other, though the motion had more of habit than success to it. Blood had already dried in the half-moons beneath his nails. For a brief moment, no one spoke. The wind pulled at the hem of Jonathan's coat. A loose strand of chestnut hair had come free and fallen across his forehead, softening what should have been a severe face. He looked tired, more than tired, worn thin. But whatever warmth usually lived in his expression had been banked low tonight beneath something colder, something harder. His gaze found Damien first. Pain flickered there, quick, barely visible, then it was gone. "I asked you not to come in," Jonathan said. His voice carried more of an icy edge than the autumn night. The words were quiet, but they landed like a slap all the same. Damien lifted his chin. "You also forgot to explain why. You had missed dinner. You also forgot to explain why. You had missed dinner. It's our 3-month anniversary." Jonathan's grip tightened on the cloth. His eyes narrowed as they locked with Damien's icy blue orbs. Lori crossed her arms. "That would be because you're standing on the library steps covered in blood." Jonathan gave her a brief glance, then turned his attention to Damien. "This is not what it looks like." Damien laughed once. Too sharp, too brittle. "That tends to be what people say when it is exactly what it looks like." A muscle moved in Jonathan's jaw. "There's a story everyone believes," he said after a beat. "The truth is messier than you'd imagine." The street seemed to quiet around them. Even the wind had gone watchful. Damien stared at him, trying to reconcile the man before him with the one who had once spent an hour helping a child reach a book from the top shelf because the boy had been too shy to ask. With the man who spoke softly to the elderly and carried sugar cubes in his pocket for the horses at the stables. With the man Damien had begun, against all reason, to love. His voice dropped. "Whose blood is that? Why are you covered in blood at the library?" Jonathan did not answer at once. That silence said far too much. Lori stepped half in front of Damien before she seemed to realize she had done it. "Jonathan?" The doctor let the stained cloth fall to his side. When he spoke, exhaustion roughened the edges of his usually measured voice. "I followed everything the old text said." He glanced back toward the open door as if he could still see the room beyond. "Every procedure, every herb, every restraint, every measurement, every stage." His mouth tightened. "I did everything exactly as written. I have always gained my understanding for those old texts. You used to laugh and joke, calling them dead trees with tattoos." Damien felt cold spread through him, slow and poisonous. "What procedures?" Jonathan's gaze lifted to his. The answer, when it came, was almost a confession. "The cure." Silence. Lori's face. Lori's confusion riddled her face. A sick sort of understanding passed through Damien a breath later. He had seen the old volumes scattered across Jonathan's work table in recent weeks. Texts on folklore, moon cycles, blood diseases, inherited madness. He had thought it was an academic curiosity, the sort of obsession scholars buried themselves in for the sake of proving something no one else had the patience to chase. He had been wrong. Jonathan wasn't studying myths. He was hunting answers. Damien wet suddenly dry lips. "A cure?" he repeated, his voice almost a whisper. Jonathan nodded once. "For lycanthropy." The word hung in the cold between them. Lori's expression hardened. "You mean for werewolves?" Yes. For living people, I thought, she said, her voice sharpening, they're real, not stories. Jonathan's eyes flashed. Do you think I am a fool? Lori let out a quiet, disbelieving breath. That is not the answer I expected. Damien barely heard her. Something old and instinctive had gone rigid inside him. His pulse hammered, so hard he could hear it, smell it. The beast within him had risen fully now, pacing behind his ribs. He kept his face still by force. How long? He asked. Jonathan frowned slightly. What? How long have you been doing this? The doctor hesitated. Too long, then. The answer came at last. Months. Damien's chest constricted. 3 months, Jonathan clarified. The same 3 months Jonathan had smiled at him over cups of tea and midnight conversations. The same months he had looked at Damien with patient eyes and careful kindness. The same months he had asked odd questions in that deceptively mild voice. Do you sleep well near the full moon? Have you ever felt rage arrive too quickly to control? Do strange illnesses run in your family? At the time, Damien had thought Jonathan was simply trying to know him. Now every question came back with teeth. You've been experimenting on them, Damien said. Jonathan said nothing. That, too, was answer enough. Lori took a step forward, fury simmering low in her voice. On who? Jonathan's gaze cooled. Those who needed help. Those who consented? Lori shot back. A pause. Damien closed his eyes for one brief, terrible moment. When he opened them again, something softer in him had started to die. You should go, Jonathan said quietly. Damien stared at him. Excuse me? Jonathan's composure cracked just enough for desperation to show beneath it. You do not understand what's inside. I'm close, closer than I've ever been, but tonight... He looked down at the blood on his hands. Tonight, something went wrong. What is inside? Lori demanded. Jonathan lifted his head, and the answer came with grim finality. A patient. Damien's stomach turned. The word was wrong. All wrong. Not subject. Not patient. Not when there was blood on the floor and fear in the air thick enough to choke on. He took a step toward the door. Jonathan moved immediately, coming down one stair as if to block him. No. Damien stopped. His voice lowered to something dangerous. Move. Jonathan's face went still. You cannot go in there. And why is that? Damien asked, each word sharper than the last. Because I might see what you've done. Because if he wakes fully, he'll tear your throat out. Lori went quiet. Damien did not. The cold inside him turned almost calm. He? Damien asked. Jonathan seemed to realize too late what he had revealed. Not a corpse, then. A man. No, a werewolf, chained and bleeding somewhere in the dark beneath the library, while Jonathan Vale called it treatment. Damien's fingers curled so tightly his nails bit his palms. You're keeping him here. It was supposed to help him. The force of Damien's laugh startled even him. It sounded wild, stripped raw. Help him? Jonathan stepped forward again, voice urgent now. You haven't seen what the curse does to them. The violence, the loss of reason, the agony when the change takes hold. You cannot imagine the suffering. Or can you? Damien surged up the step before he could stop himself. Oh, I can! Lori's head turned sharply toward him. Jonathan froze. For one suspended heartbeat, the world narrowed to the three of them on the library steps. One woman too perceptive to miss what had just happened. One man too intelligent not to hear the truth hiding in the shape of the words. And Damien standing between revelation and ruin. He had not meant to say it like that. He had not meant to say anything at all. Jonathan's eyes searched his face, suddenly far too intent. Damien, the wolf inside rose hard, hot, furious at being cornered. Damien forced it down. He took one careful step back, then another. The night air scraped his lungs. Laurie moved to his side, not touching him, but near enough that he could feel the choice in it. Protection, support, readiness. Jonathan's expression shifted. Not into certainty, not yet, but suspicion sharpened by dawning horror. No, he said softly. Damien said nothing. Jonathan went very still. No, I had my suspicions. This time the word carried fear. For the first time since Damien had known him, Dr. Jonathan Vale looked at him not with affection, not with curiosity, not even with trust, but with the terrible beginning of understanding. Damien hated how much that hurt. More than the blood, more than the lies, and more than the truth standing naked between them. You should have left it alone, Damien said. Jonathan's face paled. Damien, listen to me. No. Damien's voice broke, and he hated that too. You listen. He stepped into the light fully then, letting Jonathan see him. Not the wolf, not yet, but the man stripped of all illusion. Every late-night smile, every hesitant glance, every word exchanged over open books and cooling tea. You asked me once, Damien said, if I believed monsters were born or made. Jonathan did not move. Damien swallowed, throat tight. I told you, I thought the answer depended on who was writing the story. Wind curled through the street. The lamplight guttered. Inside the library, something struck metal with a violent crash. Laurie flinched. Jonathan half turned toward the sound on instinct. A raw, ragged snarl echoed faintly from somewhere beneath the floorboards. Damien felt it in his bones. The caged thing below was awake. Jonathan looked back at him. Please, you have to go. The plea might have meant more 10 minutes ago. Now it only bled into the rest. Damien stepped down from the stair, retreating from the light. Shadows swallowed the sharpest edges of his face. Did you ever find one? He asked. Jonathan blinked. What? A cure. The doctor opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Damien gave a slow, wounded nod as though the silence answered for him. Then he said the thing that broke whatever was left standing between them. I hope, he whispered, voice shaking with something too deep for anger alone. You never learn what it feels like to beg someone who loves you not to be afraid. Jonathan stared at him as if struck. Laurie drew a slow breath beside him. Below them, the unseen creature snarled again, wilder this time, chains rattling, wood groaning beneath the strain. Jonathan looked toward the sound, then back to Damien, caught between two horrors he could no longer contain. Damien. But Damien was already stepping away. One step, then another. His eyes burned, but he refused to let the tears fall there where Jonathan could see them. He would not give the man that. Not after this. Not after blood on his hands and lies in his mouth and the audacity to call cruelty mercy. He had almost reached the edge of the library light when Jonathan called out again, voice rough and breaking now. I was trying to save them. Damien stopped. He stood with his back to the library, shoulders taut beneath his coat, and answered without looking around. No, he said. You were trying to make them easier for you to live beside. Then he walked into the dark. Behind them on the library steps, Jonathan Vale remained in the doorway between lamplight and shadow, blood drying on his hands as the old building groaned around him like something haunted. And for the first time in months, Damien did not look back. Dun dun dun. Night Death said, well, Mr. P.A. Power is back with a motherfucking goddamn godforsaken vengeance.
Sounds that way.
I had to mute because that one line, that one line just that says way more. Way fucking more than just something about werewolves being monsters and being beside common man. It is so much more deep than that, and it says so fucking much about the state of our world and just
Yeah.
My first story back, and I'm mic mute. Woot woot.
says so fucking much. Whoo! Yes, Betzer, emotional damage. Artemis Elf. Oh my god, and the hits keep on coming. Now I have no idea what the elf has given us today. However,
Usually packs a punch.
oh yes, most assuredly does. Oh god. Oh man, which one of you motherfuckers just dropped a load in the box? Jesus. Hold on. Wow, that little piece of levity for the yes, cat's gonna cat. Cats are gonna cat. Okay. Open door. Emotional support quokka. Since I get muted if I talk about the emotional support Viking. Open door. They told me not to go in, but the door was already halfway open. It did not feel like disobedience to approach it. That is the part I return to most often, the part that refuses to reshape itself no matter how I examine it. I did not feel reckless, misled, or even curious. I felt permitted. The door stood at the end of an ordinary corridor, its edge resting just far enough from the frame to suggest completion rather than invitation. Already halfway open, already decided. Whatever choice had been required of me was made somewhere earlier, somewhere I could not access or remember. I had only arrived to continue it. The hallway was unremarkable, like all transitional spaces, sterile and liminal. The walls were a color meant to quiet attention rather than hold it, and the carpet was worn flat by years of heavy feet, carrying the memory of movement without preserving any particular set of prints. There was a low, continuous hum threaded through everything, the quiet labor of a building sustaining itself. It was the sound of systems that did not ask to be noticed. It was the sound of living continuing, whether or not anyone wanted it to. And yet, standing at the threshold, that sound seemed distant, irrelevant. The warning had been casual, which is why it stayed with me. It came with no urgency, no insistence, just a statement delivered as though it had no weight at all. They said only this: if the door was open, it was not to be entered. They had not said that it was forbidden or dangerous, just that it was not to be entered. I had nodded when I was told, because nodding is a habit that asks nothing of you. But something in the phrasing had lingered. It had the quiet structure of a test, the kind that does not measure what you know, only whether you will comply. I studied the door before touching it. The paint had worn unevenly, though not in the places a hand would naturally rest. There was a place for a plate where a number should have been, but it was gone, and the shadow of its outline remained, cleaner than the wall around it. The darkness within the opening between the frame and the door was not complete. There was a faint suggestion of light, diffused and without origin. As I stood there, the air shifted. Not colder, not warmer, but altered, as though something had adjusted itself in anticipation. I pushed the door open. The room beyond did not reveal itself so much as it accepted my presence. The light within it did not come from anywhere I could identify. It existed without direction, without casting shadows or asking to be traced back to a source. A bed stood against one wall, its surface smooth and undisturbed. A chair faced slightly toward the window, unused. The window itself was open, and beyond it was a city I recognized but could not name. It was all correct. It was all complete. And something about that completeness made it feel distant, a dream I was remembering but did not entirely know. I stepped inside, and something in me loosened. It did not fall away suddenly. It unwound. The constant, subtle tension I had carried for so long unbounded at once, and I no longer recognized it as the tension further dissolved. The tightness in my chest, the quiet pressure behind my thoughts that I had never noticed before, the background awareness of effort receded. I did not feel relief from anything specific. I felt it from the condition of needing relief in the first place. There was someone by the window. I did not register him immediately, or perhaps I did, and did not consider it worth noticing. His presence did not interrupt the room any more than the stale color of the walls. Rather, it completed it. He turned when I approached, not in surprise, not in reaction, but with the calm inevitability of something acknowledging its place in a sequence already underway. "Liza," he said. My name did not echo. It did not carry. It existed precisely where it was spoken, as if repetition were irrevocably unnecessary. And I knew him, not from memory or from recognition in any conventional sense. I knew him in the way one knows something that fits perfectly into a space they had not realized was empty. He was not striking, not in any way that demanded attention, but he was right, entirely, quietly, right. Xanadir, I said, though I did not remember learning his name. Zan. He smiled in a way that did not feel like an expression, but a continuation of what already existed. You came, he said. I didn't mean to, I replied. That's all right, he answered. You don't have to mean to. There was no demand or expectation in his voice. His words did not require agreement. They simply settled. Because they settled, they did not need any defense. They just were. So with quiet certainty, I moved further into the room. I became aware, distantly, that the door behind me no longer occupied my attention. I did not check whether it remained open. The idea of leaving occurred to me, but it did not present as anything necessary. The room did not hold me. It simply existed around me. I sat in the chair without deciding to sit. Time passed without marking itself. There were no changes in light, no sounds to divide one moment from another. Conversation occurred, though I could not later reconstruct what we had said. I remember the feeling of it, the absence of effort, the ease of being understood without explanation. There was no observation like a specimen beneath a lens, no evaluation or weighing of deeds and sins. I was merely accounted for. There was no weight in that room. That is what I remember most clearly. No weight in my body, no strain in my thoughts, no quiet resistance beneath everything I did. I had not known how much living required until it was gone. Every movement, every breath, every thought. There had always been something beneath it, a cost, maintenance, negotiation between what I was and what was required of me, an implication of my cause and the subsequent effect I was held responsible for. Here there was nothing to maintain, nothing to resist, nothing to become. The price of was paid for completely. And I simply was. I existed in it, and that was enough. At some point, I became aware of the door again, not as a structure, but as a possibility. Can I leave? I asked. The question came without urgency. Zahn turned toward me. You can, he said. There was no hesitation. You don't have to, he added. But where there is a door, there is a place it will lead, and only you can know if you will go through it. His smile seemed softer and yet unchanged. And you already know where it goes. The choice is yours. That seemed fair. Just. I then considered leaving in the same way I might consider standing after sitting for a long time. Not because I needed to, but because I could. The idea carried no fear, no trepidation, no desire, only the faint suggestion of contrast. What happens if I do? I asked. He paused, not because he needed to think, but because the answer did not require precision. Things become heavier, he said. When here they are light. The word heavier did not feel right. I took notice of the white walls, the white floor, the colorlessness of the bed and chair. And I saw then it was just as he said. It was light. You mean painful? I asked. Yes, he said, then tilted his head. And not. It will be more defined. I understood the shape of that, even if I could not fully grasp the meaning. Definition implied edges, boundaries, distinction, things I had always believed were necessary. Here, nothing required definition. Everything existed without needing to be separated from anything else. The seams were part of an uninterrupted fabric, and I was a part of it, whole and complete with it, flawlessly incorporated among the threads. I don't think I want that, I said. You don't have to, he replied. And I believed him. I could have stayed. I know that now. There was nothing in the room that would have forced me to leave, and nothing in me that required it. The absence of effort was complete. The absence of pain was complete. Even the idea of wanting something more had no foundation. But the door returned. Not as temptation, but as memory, already halfway open, already begun. I stood. Movement did not disturb the room. Nothing responded to it. I think I should see, I said. Once. He did not stop me. You can, he said simply. I looked at him, trying to hold his face in my mind, to fix it and remember it as it was, but his face was not one any person is meant to hold, not because it changed, but because it did not need to be remembered. I'll come back, I said. The words felt uncertain, even as I spoke them. He did not correct me. He did not agree. Zahn only looked at me in the same quiet, complete way he had from the beginning. I walked toward the door. It appeared as I approached, resolving from the space as though it had always been there, simply unnoticed, halfway open, exactly as I had found it. I stepped through, and the world returned all at once. Sound struck first. Too loud, too immediate, layered in ways that did not separate cleanly. Light followed, sharp and angular, cutting into my eyes without adjusting to them. Then came weight. My body reasserted itself as a problem, something that was displaced, that did not work quite right. My chest tightened with the sudden demand for breath, lungs expanding too quickly, too sharply, as if they had forgotten how to do so naturally. My heart slammed against my ribs with violent urgency, and pain arrived in systems. Not a single sensation, but a structure of them. My head throbbed, throat burned, and limbs ached with a dull, persistent heaviness. My skin felt wrong, too present, too sensitive, as though it had been turned outward. The air stabbed through me. I tried to breathe, but every gulp I took in hurt. It was suffocating and thick, pouring into me like water, and I was drowning. I tried to move. My body resisted. Voices surrounded me, fragmented and urgent. She's back. Stay with. Hands held me, adjusted me, contained me. I knew where I was. A hospital. White, bright, unforgiving, and cold. The bed pressed into me. Every point of contact announced itself in barbs and bricks. Every movement required an effort I could not muster. Even stillness required strain, energy, more than my body. Liza, someone said. My name did not settle. It demanded, and it required a response I could not give. I closed my eyes, but that did not help either. The darkness that came was not absence, it was pressure. The room, the hospital, the world did not release me. It held me tightly, insistently, painfully. I tried to remember the other place, the stillness that was not still, that was complete, the absence of effort, the way nothing had asked anything of me. It was already fading. It was not yet gone, but like the tide, it was fast receding. The lingering memory carried the idea of it, not the experience. And the idea was not enough. That was the worst part. Not the pain itself, not the weight, not the effort. the knowledge. It was the certainty that something else had existed that haunted me. Something without any of this had been, and now I was again without. I had left it, or I had been, by some force or reason, returned from it. I do not know which is worse, and I feared that I might soon discover the answer. They told me not to go in, but the door was already halfway open. There, waiting on the other side of whatever it was I had been and come and gone from, was a story that I had no words to tell, yet it was distant and familiar, a story everyone believes. The truth, though, it was messier than you would imagine, because it was light, and I am not anymore. Dun dun dun.
Another fantastically written piece by the elf.
Yeah, that's the word. That's the word, Pitzer, that I have been struck. Evocative. That's the word that has been on the tip of my motherfucking tongue for weeks when it comes to what the elf has been submitting. Good. Well, okay, so I'm a little bit more intimately aware of Zahn than most people. I've been hearing about Zahn for about 2 years, even before I knew his name. He's Death in her Fallen Ash series. That wow. Literally a it was a near death experience, out of body experience. Told stole told told from the perspective of the one who nearly died. What I absolutely love about her death is that he's not scary. He's not menacing. He's not nice either. He just is. It's the fact that we all know death is just a fact of life. And we hate it and we fight against it and everything else, and Death's just sitting here going, I'm I'm sorry. I'm I exist. I'm inevitable. I don't do it to be mean. It just is what it is. And she does a very good job of relaying that. Okay, so we got ads in about 3.5 minutes. Holy Moses. Which reminds me, I really got to start getting into that series. I have book 1. It's over there. I have book 1. I technically have the second edition of book 1 and book 2 on the shelf out there. But third or fourth edition is the current one. Ah, Sam Weller will bring us back from the ads. Woo! Is this more Zinnia? Please be more of the sweet, precious, adorable Zinnia.
Spoiler.
Spoilers. See, and I kind of picture her as having this not quite dirty blonde hair, but not spun silk blonde and kind of curly but in an unkempt way, and she's actually very conventionally plain looking, but at the same time, because of her personality and who she is, she's just the cutest, darndest little thing. I don't know why that's how I picture her, but I always picture her in a cute homespun dress that she might have made herself. I don't know. I just that's how I picture her. Mousy. Yeah, well, I'm sorry to break it to anybody, but I was literally described in my childhood as mousy. Quiet as a little dormouse. So, mousy apparently doesn't mean anything to me like it does the rest of the world. All right, a little bit less than a minute. Ads will start. We're gonna come back, and since it's Weller, we want to make sure they can hear their full story.
Ooh.
Oh, she's already lighting up. I can see it. It's like she is going to bloom in, and I can just feel it underneath. It's like she's this seed. She's a flower. She's a zinnia. She is a seed, and she is going to bloom. All right, real quick, just a quick check in here while ads are running. Oh, Patrick, is that something new you're working on? Okay.
Yep. I had wanted to work on a current story, but this little gremlin crawled into my mind, and I was like, oh, okay. Let's really hit Izzy in the feels since I haven't written in a while. See if I still could make her cuss me out later or threaten misery.
Well, the only thing was is that I kept thinking that Damien was already a name that you had already used, but I think that was actually Derek.
Derek.
So, Damien, Derek, David, do you think you got a problem? Yes.
I like the D.
Oh.
That being said, here's one more thing. Damien is a common name in werewolf
Mm-hmm. And vampire.
and vampire. So, just might want to look at that. Because you'll just be yet another Damien in a sea of Damiens. So just putting that out there. Nice little.
Okay. Well, it's good to think of that before I get too far involved. I'm currently into chapter 2 right now.
Yeah,
I've been writing it while the show has been going.
Yeah, just putting it out there. And the elves, oh my god, talk about like ah Dahlia's was existential. Man, we're spring is roaring in like a lion.
No, it's
Not a
roaring in
little
like a
lamb.
werewolf.
Huh?
No, it's roaring in like a werewolf.
Except I'm a cat.
We're cat.
Were panther.
I'm a cat. And 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 who does all the hunting in a lion pack?
The lion.
Lioness. I will say this. If you know the movie Hocus Pocus, there's that life elixir, suck all the lives out of the children. There's an adult cocktail that's like that.
It's
It's
called Hocus
vodka,
Pocus.
Midori, sour, and 7-Up.
I'm not gonna lie. I haven't seen Hocus Pocus probably since early 2000s. Early 2000s. So I probably only seen it twice. I'm such a bad witch. All right, and we are back with CM Weller. Ah, da, 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 da. And and now with pronunciation guides on the vocabulary words.
Nice.
Yeah, that in the Discord that was asked because I apparently last week pronounced the Filori. I don't know the island that said put in there that starts with an F. Um, I apparently mispronounced it. So then there was talk about where would the best place for a pronunciation guide if you've got weird names or names that we may not see in our normally, place names, etc. Um, and at the beginning is great, but by the time I get down into the story, I I forget how to pronounce it. So, they were like, "Okay, do you want us to put it, uh, before the word, after the word?" I'm like, "Well, because I read, like, 2 to 3 words ahead, if you put it right after, my eyes are gonna shift to it and then back. So, for production value, if you want to put them in after the fact, hell, even count it towards your word count if you really freaking want to." Yeah, sorry, Elf. We've got some technical difficulties still on the back end from the other week. So I am currently not running the back end of the stream, and somehow YouTube got disconnected. So we're gonna get that fixed up. We will get it up and running, reposted over to YouTube after the live stream ends, and then we'll go from there. And yeah, I'm all for responsible cheating, okay? But Elf, are you just now getting here? Can I just say we are all incredibly wowed. We just finished yours. I can't wait for you to hear it read out. Um, d- d- bravo. Bravo. Oh. Okay. CM Weller. Back to Zinnia and Void and Mr. Trant. They told Xavier not to go in, but the door was already halfway open. He sidled through the portal on stocking feet, keeping low to avoid anyone else who might be in there. Someone had to have left the door like that in the first place. He almost jumped out of his skin when the university clock struck 11. He was out way after lights out, and the grown-ups were bound to be up to their secret grown-up business somewhere. Xavier Trant had told himself a lot of things to get this far. That it was just one book. That the librarians had to let anyone read it. That was what libraries were for. That he was not, in fact, too young to be reading such a thick and dense tome of forgotten lore. He was 9 and getting top marks. Everyone told him that he was very advanced. How could he possibly be too advanced for his age mates and too young for the advanced stuff? He told himself he knew the way to the manual in question. He was wrong about that one. Xavier got lost in the dark, too terrified to touch the shelves since the older boys told him that they had secret alarms when the library was closed. He swore he could hear something scuttling in the darkness. Too close, but not close enough to figure out what it was. Not daring to make a sound because getting in trouble would be so much worse. And really,
really wishing that he'd gone to the privy before he'd crept out of the student dorm. The small light drew him in and led Xavier to a display case that held a bunch of rectangular rocks. When he got closer, he could see that they were not rocks. They were clay, with lines of little figures pressed into them. Xavier forgot about the book, disregarded the scuttling in the dark. He stared at the smallest one in the collection, mostly because it was closest to the glass, trying to imagine what process might have been done to make it. He could see the finger marks of the last person to hold it when it was wet. Fascinating, isn't it, young Mr. Trant? Said Professor Maester behind him, almost scaring a puddle onto the floor from Xavier. Do you have a theory regarding the specimen? That had been his maiden journey into independent studies. Xavier had learned a lot that night, including the fact that even professors had to sneak around librarians guarding the hoard of knowledge in the night. Now he was proud to launch another onto the seas of discovery. While Mrs. Balvin was studying the rules and law, Xavier acquired the forms necessary for requesting additional books and sat himself by her study desk to work out which best words to fit where. The reams of administration behind updating the library were complex and vast. One wrong punctuation mark could doom a petitioner to endless requests for clarification. Fortunately, Xavier had learned well from the professor how to fill the request in the right way. He peeked over at Mrs. Balvin between key phrases and almost became lost in fascination with her face in the depths of study. She may dress like the subversive women of Ambany, but she didn't take on any of their affectations. She didn't seek out makeup nor dye for her hair. She didn't see the importance of ostentatious display. They said that a woman without rouge or eyeshadow was ugly, or at the very least plain. Yet Mrs. Balvin had a simple beauty that didn't need it. All she ever put on her face was soap and water. They said that a woman was incapable of higher learning or study, yet here she was, reading and taking notes like any other student. They said a widow was ruined for any other man. In that, they may be correct. But in her case, Mr. Aaron Balvin had evidently done all the ruining. Xavier had caught little glimpses of Mrs. Balvin when she was at ease and confident, when she was in control. In those small, shuttered moments, she shone. She was magnificent and felt that she had to hide that. Xavier decided that they said a lot of pure horse shit. Mrs. Balvin looked up from her notes as the clock struck the hour and caught him staring. Her eyes flicked to his paperwork, briefly worried before a smile lit in them before it quirked her mouth. I thought you scholars had intense focus, she teased. Or am I dangerously distracting? That's a story that everyone believes, he said, feeling his own smirk answering hers, as well as the blood rising into his cheeks. The truth of it is far more complex. Complex, she echoed. And likely messy, he concluded. He couldn't tell her how he felt, how she made his heart feel warm whenever he saw even a fragment of her smile, how he wanted to help her smile come out into the open even more, how he wanted to be better than a father to her little Yarrow. And damn it, how Mallow was right. He could not tell her. She was still hurting from her recent loss, recovering from the injuries of heart and mind, not just from or about her late husband, but the hundreds of subtler cruelties visited on her by the tongues of people with nothing better to do than make up cruel stories. How she was still getting hurt from her transplantation into the unfamiliar environment of Ambany, openly and vocally judged for her stammer, for her backcountry accent, for her obvious status as someone who wasn't yet familiar with all of the rules. To burden her with her effect on his heart would be a terrible and tragic cruelty on top of all her extant suffering. Mrs. Balvin needed time, more time to grow into her new, true self, more time to bloom, to become truly magnificent, to truly shine in and of herself. Then he would truly support the man she chose on her own. He'd be proud to watch her grow, knowing she would not be as petty as Mallow. She just wasn't the type. Messy? You don't seem the messy type. You never saw my dormitory when I was a young lad. It was chaos. Come to think of it, my apartment is still in significant disarray. My mother insists I just need a woman's touch around the place. Is that an invitation? She sounded pleased. She was smiling. But no lady had ever wanted his attention for longer than it took to find out if his brothers were unattached. The vertiginous terror of losing another potential love struck his heart like a finely honed icicle. Then he remembered that all his older brothers were safely married. Could he flirt safely? Could he flirt at all? Xavier tried his best attempt at a charming smile. If you would like it to be so, I'm amenable. I mean, I wouldn't expect you to clean. You're a research assistant, not a maid. To begin with, it's much a lower wage and lower status. Not that it should be. Cleanliness is an essential service in that it contains and reduces ill winds of hazardous miasmas, yet those who perform it are treated lower than the dirt they clean. He was babbling. He knew he was babbling, but he couldn't stop the words flowing out of his mouth. He could not cease the vomitous clarifications, explanations, and elucidations spewing out of his mouth. And Mrs. Balvin was listening, not for a chance to mock, not with a sneer on her features, not with any sign of disdain. There was sympathy in her dark eyes, echoing a pain he thought nobody else could know. I might have spent a little long in the sociology section. The more someone learns, the more questions they end up asking about the way the world is. He finished his meandering diatribe in an embarrassed mumble. Maybe that's why they don't let women study, she said. They'd ask those questions too often and too loudly. And when they don't get answers? He asked, trying to ignore how very close their faces were. How very much he wished he could lurch forwards and meet her lips with his. This is a scholarly conversation, he told himself. Remain civil and civilized. She cleared her throat and shut her eyes to sing song. I expect there may be a revolution. Mrs. Balvin had turned her head away so she could focus on her words, saving him from temptation. Noble lady, virtuous lady, marvelous, wonderful, clever, insightful, and down boy. He cleared his throat and forced himself to focus on the paperwork. It may be a good thing that the avenues are currently closed. I expect the revolution would be bloody and ruinous to all. Xavier stopped talking so he could fill in the last crucial words on the form. Ever jot, every jot, every title, every iota, all regimented and organized in perfect order. Xavier risked peeking at Mrs. Balvin, who was busy making notes of her own. He forced himself to focus on folding the forms exactly in thirds. Just as well, he said. You'd be the new queen in short order. An empress, perhaps. That earned a laugh. A soft, shy little giggle. I'll try to be a good ruler, Mr. Trant. He peeked again, and she was covering her mouth, as if she were ashamed of her smile. Another lingering scar from a brutal man who wanted a thing he could control rather than a person to be proud to love. Xavier had heard the story from Miss Petunia Borbauer of how the late Mr. Balvin had taken a bright child with promise and turned her into a stuttering, timid creature afraid to leave her own house. Well, to be precise, he had received a lecture and a warning from a formidable lady who would not allow such a transformation to happen twice. He felt ashamed now to have looked down on Cairncliff and its residents, judging them like all city folk judge the country, based on what they lacked rather than what they already had. He would keep that upturned nose and initial sneering to himself, a regrettable memory that he viewed with shame, now that he knew about the kind of people Cairncliff made. He could not wait to see Mrs. Balvin escalate herself once she knew how to grow. Interesting, she whispered to herself. There's no rules against women in the university teaching lady students themselves. Brilliant! Astounding! And that would be the key to your acquiring tutor credit. Once you're a tutor, you can be a guest lecturer by technicality, and thus teach all the others your special knowledge. The poor lady startled as if she'd forgotten he was there. It does? What does that mean? Xavier found himself with the best summary. Blackboard privileges, Mrs. Balvin, and all the respect you are overdue to receive. Color touched her lovely cheeks, and for just a moment she leaned closer to him. Then the clattering of students in the halls outside made her aware of the time. She stood, gathering her notes. Oh, my Yarrow, I promised only an hour. Mrs. Balvin went dashing off towards Mrs. Weaver's apartment, leaving him with the small task of tidying up her books and then properly filing his paperwork. Xavier felt no resentment. This was something that many were prone to doing. He would divert the librarian's ire by placing the books in the proper return trolley, and then leave the folded requests in the correct niche at the offices. His head was filling with visions of Mrs. Balvin in academical robes, earning an honorary degree. Not just an honorary one, a proper one. She could be the test case in proving the ancient prejudices wrong. Mrs. Balvin had knowledge that the university thirsted for, that experts were clamoring to learn. She was a walking treasure and could ask for and receive anything. The university had plenty of spaces that she could utilize. All she needed was a lesson plan that some ladies of the city might be interested in. He knew the city. He knew some women. All right, his sample size was small, and he should not use them as a proper diagnostic, but he could arrange for Mrs. Balvin to meet them. Something civil and social to properly introduce her to his family. An afternoon tea, perhaps, where they all could learn. Mother would be instantly devoted to meeting Mrs. Balvin. Mallow, resigned, he supposed. She was certainly sympathetic and would most likely warm Xavier's other sisters in law to her cause, and likely educate them both on the topics that some ladies, the modern sort who also favored the Caledonian culottes, may be interested in learning about. Business done, Xavier began writing letters, beginning with his mother. Above anyone else, she was key to his campaign. He was going to win Mrs. Balvin the lecture hall and blackboards she deserved. And if they were any good at it, more than that besides. Cap and gown, framed diploma. Professora Zinnia Balvin of Ancient Languages and Antiquities. Oh, yes, that was a dream to keep him warm even when her hand parted from his. Xavier's only anticipated regret would be the speech he'd have to give his mother regarding allowing another magnificent lady to slip through his fingers. Again. Dun dun dun. Oh, you sly dog, you. That romance, I did not see that coming. I have heard you do snippets of A Devil's Tale. There's this,
There's the other things. I did not see wistful romance, unrequited love coming. I mean, I did. But the way you wrote it, oh, chef's kiss. Oh, he's so cute.
I love the description of how he was feeling about her.
Yes. It never once was it the he felt this way. No, it was in the expressiveness and the words that he chose to think about her, and I just showing, not telling. This was a perfect freaking example. You could feel it as the words came into my brain. You could hear it in my voice as I was getting more animated with the character and feeling what he was feeling. That's
Yes. Yes, that yearning. Yearning.
all I want in life is for somebody to look at me the way Min Sung looks at each other. I've been saying this now for a couple of months. Well, now I want somebody to look at me the way Mr. Trant looks at Zinnia. Ugh. That's all I'm asking for. Apparently, that's too much, but you know. Oh. I love this story so much. I have no idea where it's going. Like I've almost forgotten about almost forgotten about Void and the ancient king and yeah, the mudslides that started this all and the discovery of Void. I you just mm, the cute little love story. All right. Last but not least, Trisha Jones. Ads in 5 minutes. Let's see what we can do. Trisha gave us another one of her to the point saying, I'm sure saying a lot in a few words just to get to the heart of it. So here we go. The next few weeks, I watched the house for Ms. Smith. I would get occasional updates from Ms. Thomas about her condition. The last update was she woke up from the medical induced coma, which is good. I was praying that she didn't get feline thropy. It was a few days after the last update that I saw a cab pull up in front of the house. A woman, I assumed was Miss Smith, got out of the cab and walked up to the front door. She didn't seem to be moving around very well. She must still be in pain. The next day, while the kids and I were working in Ms. Thomas's garden, Joe Cooper showed up at Miss Smith's house. Damn, she must have gotten feline thropy, I thought. We continued working in the garden. Miss Thomas came out and saw Joe Cooper entering Miss Smith's house. Hello, Miss Thomas. What do you think of our work in the garden? I greeted her. It looks good, she responded. I see Mr. Cooper is at Ann Smith's house. Yeah, he just got there, I said. She nodded in understanding. Well, that's not why I came out. I stopped what I was doing. Oh? The owner of Scooter's Pizza called, she said. He would like to speak with you. Me? Why? I asked, shocked. He did not say, but he would like you to meet him in his office at the pizzeria as soon as possible, she answered. About that time, Joe Cooper left Miss Smith's house. I sighed and started gathering my kids to go inside. While Miss Thomas went back in her house, I got the kids and myself cleaned up. I told my oldest to keep an eye on the younger kids, and I headed out to meet with Scooter. When I got there, the door was cracked open. Something told me not to go in, but there was nothing else I could do but go in. When I got inside, there wasn't a lot going on, it seemed.
They were not open for business for the day, at least not yet. I made my way towards the back to find the office. No one seemed to notice me, which I didn't mind. When I found the office door was open, I flew in. Scooter was sitting at his desk. I flew over and landed on the stack of papers he was looking at. You wanted to talk to me? I asked in a huff. Well, hello, Sammy, he said. Why did you want to talk to me? I asked, walking closer to him. Well, it has come to my attention Miss Smith doesn't know you and I are real, he said, sitting back in his chair. Okay, and? I wasn't sure why that mattered. Well, I need a note to go to Miss Smith, but I don't trust the mail to get it to her in a timely manner. What does this have to do with me? I asked, losing my patience. I need you to get it to her, he said with a cocky smile. And how exactly do you expect me to do that? I wanted to wipe that smile from his face, but I knew I couldn't. I don't care as long as she gets it. Fine. Where is the note? I asked, pissed off. I will send it. I will send someone with it later, he said. Why can't whoever you send to it to give me the note take it to Miss Smith? I was getting very frustrated at this point. Because I think it would be better coming from you, he said. At this point, I just wanted to leave. Whatever. I will deliver your note. Good. I will have it there this evening, he said, getting back to his work. I sighed and flew out to go home. The end. Da-da-dum. Remember, Sammy's a pixie, so I did it a little sing-songy. And then, you know how when Tink is very, very upset in the Fairies of Pixie Hollow? Like, tinkle, 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 everything's fine. And then, ooh, I'm mad. I'm going to look at you sternly, and I'm going to do a very sternly yelling at you that you can't understand because I'm Tinkerbell and humans can't hear fairies. Okay, so I may have seen the Pixie Hollow movies more times than I've seen the original Peter Pan Disney. Okay, I'm sorry. I may have also played the game quite a bit. I may have also spent $80 on vintage My Little Ponies the other day. It's fine. All right. Let me put my BlackBerry away. They can only hold one emotion or one emotion at a time. It's been a hot minute since I read Peter Pan. I can't remember. I can tell Sammy has a lot of emotions. She's got care of her kids and everything else, and she's a helper to Ms. Thomas. Ms. Thomas. Oh, one emotion at a time. Well, they are so tiny, but that was just kind of the attitude that I was evoking because it just seemed right the way she was wording everything. The character was wording herself. Love it, love it, love it, love it. I love that this is the Anne Smith series, but from the Pixies' point of view. I love it. Okie dokie, atachaki. Boop, ba-dup. Sorry, I was distracted by Documancer's Nitro. It just sort of went. Yeah! Look, I said to somebody the other day, earlier today, I said, it's just hard to believe that I'm 46. It's just so hard to believe it. I don't.
And they're like, well, you don't look it. I go, let's face facts. I don't act. Julie, why are we getting the
You
rain?
got muted. Or are you being quiet?
She's got herself muted. Okay. Let me. Where did I put it? Aha! Season 3, 2026. Season 3. Yay! My birthday is over. So, Mr. Patrick, what are we starting your birthday challenge next month? Do you have one picked out?
So I always love the fact of hashtag make Izzy feel, hashtag make Izzy cry. But let's switch it up a little. Make me cry, make me feel. Let's see if
And,
you
and,
boys and girls can be up to the challenge.
and I'm going to tell you right now, it's hard to do.
Well, I will say we had an anonymous at one time when we were doing that whole month of anonymous authors that because we actually later ended up knowing who it was, really hit me in the feels. So let's see who else can make me feel. Let's see who else can make me cry.
Alrighty. All right. What we got? I gotta open this up further because it's not showing me everything that I need to see. Come on, open sesame.
Oh, and by the way, I'm already on chapter 3 of this new book that's not titled yet.
Yeah, because of fucking course you are. All right, so we have got 140 concepts. Random number generator. What do we got?
We have 140 concepts. How many for the rest? So I can go ahead and
You're
roll
gonna
all
make me
three.
scroll. You realize that this master list is 35 pages long? And you're gonna make me scroll back and forth to find these, and then I'm gonna have to scroll.
All right. I'll just do 140 for all of it, and if we don't have that number, we don't have that number. Okay. Go. Okay, 128.
Oh God! With Patrick's challenge. Concept: a character loses the ability to remember faces, including their own.
Oh, my
That's an actual
dementia
medical condition.
patients.
Okay, what was the second one?
88.
88. Scroll. Starting first line. No one noticed when the clock in the train station stopped ticking.
That's not
Your
on this at
eyebrows?
all.
Can your eyebrows go any further up your forehead, Julie? Gee, whoa. All
they
right,
can if I
last
tilt.
one.
2.
Shit. Use this dialogue. I thought I was bad at this, and then I met you. Gah!
That last one's not the intro to a spicy movie.
Eh. Hashtag make Patrick feel. Make Patrick cry. What do we got? We've got a character loses the ability to remember faces, including their own. Opening line, no one noticed when the clock in the train station stopped ticking. And number 3, dialogue, I thought I was bad at this, and then I met you. I don't even remember. Thank God we have sticks on this because I still don't know where to find half this shit. All right. God, this one is so hard to pick.
I know.
So far, it's not.
God.
We got 5 people voting for dialogue already.
No concepts coming from behind.
Oh, it's a tie. Well, we have 11 people, so let's see who votes what.
Up, their way. Dialogue by a hair.
Nope.
Ooh, that was
So
close.
it's tied again, 6 and 6.
Oh, shit.
Where'd the six? We had 12 people. Do we have 13? Ooh. How are we going to split this tie?
We don't. That's the rule. We don't split it, we do both.
Yep. Both or one or the other.
Oh, I see what happened. Sticks voted twice.
6. That's no.
Hold my pen
that was
Promptcast one is not supposed to vote. That's just the container account.
not a cheater. He's telling the truth. Which one did you vote for with the
Dialogue
whole my
wins.
pen?
He's not going to tell us.
He did. He's
not
like,
going to tell us.
dialogue wins. I voted twice.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Concept twice.
So that means dialogue won.
But of course, as we always know, it's all fun and games. The official one is the one that gets voted in by you, the audience, the prompt and prompters, and us, the hosts and the team. And we all wear so many hats these days. It's crazy. So haven't seen a tie, so I couldn't help myself. It's been a tie up there. You were not here one night or had to leave early or something, and we had one. But yeah, what was I saying? I don't remember.
We vote on
Um.
the concept that we
I think it was
choose.
right after we started doing the actual
Poll.
poll that we've actually gotten a tie.
Yeah, we did. So obviously we have the official one, but shove as many of them in there as you want. We put all of them in the Discord just simply because that way you can see what the other ones are. Maybe it's not for a story you're currently working on, but it sticks in your craw and you're able to like, ooh, I'm gonna save that one for later, percolate the idea. All right. Back over here. Dialogue. Whoa! Somebody came out of nowhere and hit.
Yeah.
Holy! Thank you so much for breaking that tie. Poor Sticks doesn't get to see what a tie looks like in a poll. All right, so the official, which I am putting into the 2026 season 3 writing prompt text channel now. Also, don't forget PA Power's April birthday challenge, hashtag make Patrick cry or feel. You've all heard of hashtag make Izzy cry. Now let's try to see if you can't get Mr. Werewolf Boy over here to cry. It's harder than one might think.
I
Just
promise,
saying.
I do have a heart. I do have a soul.
He does. He does. I promise. Promise. I saw it in Green Bay a couple of times. Seen it on here. Seen it in the chat. Seen it in video. I've seen it. It just takes a very special kind of something. Do you have it? Do you have what it takes? I'm just an emotional woman going through perimenopause and I'm lonely. I'm single with cats. I'm so pathetic. Of course, I'm going to cry. So, that's not even a challenge. Patrick is the challenge. And I think every single last one of you can get there.
I've done it to Patrick.
Six, yes.
You got real quiet, Julie. Did I turn my volume too low?
No, she got quiet because my godson singing in the background. Six lowered her
No.
volume.
Gotcha. It just, she said something and it went, eh. I was like, wait a minute. I kind of hear Julie.
Yeah, my godson singing in the background, so Six lowered her volume.
Your godson. Our godson.
Okay. Yes, our
You got to
godson.
fight over the kid.
Hey, look, I don't care, but the godparents need to come and give mommy a break for a couple of days. Or at least a couple of hours. I don't even care if it's a couple of days. Can you at least give me an hour?
I don't think my truck will make it.
Somebody also bring me coffee.
If the banshees
My
at work weren't so evil and I had more time off, I would.
There we go. All right. Anybody in the chat have any questions, concerns, curiosities? Oh my God, I am channeling work Izzy. That is not good. That is how I end every phone call. Does humor count? We
Yes.
have a okay, just making sure. I may have missed that.
You're making me feel a human emotion. But it better be some damn good humor.
I thought I was bad at this, and then I met you. There's so many different. I may have to actually pay
Oh.
it. Hmm.
Hey,
I feel
I, I
Roscoe coming out of this one.
I feel that there's some smutty book lines in this one right there. Whew.
I see Roscoe
Mm.
saying this to a particular character over the phone without actual context of response.
I mean, I I
You could write the other side.
what I'm thinking. that's it. That's what I'm thinking. Trisha, I'm glad I don't write smut. Look, if there is any let's just say I used to.
You couldn't even use that with Fade to Black so easily, leading to a
You can.
smut scene that doesn't go that far, that goes to a Fade to Black. You could so use that.
I just I just don't understand why I had a thing for showers and conference tables.
Like
or
Izzy can read
executive
my
lounges with
mind.
mirrored ceilings.
Wait, what?
Or
It's like
executive
Izzy can read
lounges
my
with.
mind where I was going, where what ideas I've had got.
Yeah. You keep those seats. No, lose them.
Yeah,
Remember the
never.
challenge. Make me feel. You can even make me laugh.
Uh, uh, I don't know if everybody saw me yesterday in the Discord video chat drinking out of a DQ cup with a certain shaped straw. The things I said were tame compared to the crap 19-year-old me wrote and wrote very poorly. Apparently, I had a penchant for the cockadoodle doo variety of word. Anyway, we are devolving. It is quarter till midnight Eastern time. Styx is likely getting very, very tired by this point. He's been manning the back end. Round of applause for our lovely tech support who is learning my messed up system on the fly, right? I just threw it at him. He's got an idea of how the program works, but I'm throwing more stuff at him. He's also trying to diagnose why, when it's all of us, how to get the best quality and everything else. And we do so appreciate him. He does not have to do that. But we do so appreciate the support and the quick on the fly running up tonight because one of my computers was not connecting to the internet for some ungodly reason. So thank you so very much. As you know, same bat time, same bat channel next Saturday. We will not have a live tomorrow. So make sure if you are not signed up for our newsletter, please do so that you can get all the happenings. We do not spam you. You get one email, one a week, sometime between Sunday and Monday, whenever the spoons. I mean, it's even been known to go out on Wednesday. That's don't use you as an excuse. I'm sorry.
He's saying
what?
don't use him as an excuse because he's maybe tired to end the live.
No. It's almost midnight. Okay, we've been doing this since 8 o'clock. We had a lot of scuff. That's really draining. I'd like to say things that I would rather us not get canceled for. Okay, so I'm just saying it's about time, and six, and it's not an excuse. It's a caring older sister. Just shut up and take it. I'm just waiting to get muted. I don't know. Emotional support Viking. What do you think?